Hello and welcome back to Wicca 101. I'm Brigantia Blackbird, and this week we are going to be discussing Witchery by the week, magical correspondences by the day. Now, one of the hardest parts to get started in practicing Wicca is just deciding where to start. And I'm not talking about accumulating your base level of knowledge, which we've been doing gradually through this class and will continue to do so. But when you start wanting to walk the talk or get your feet wet or getting an idea of what it would actually be like. And there are plenty of people who will happily tell you that Wicca, witchcraft, paganism is a way of life. And that's certainly true. But where the community has been falling short, particularly for newcomers, is giving people ideas about how to gradually incorporate spiritual practices into your everyday life until you gradually get to the point where you can tell that there's a lot of difference between how you're living now and how you were living before you began your studies. You know, call me overly picky, but a cheerful declaration of you can do whatever you want to do with a bright smile, that does not constitute helpful advice about how to practice anything. So today's class is going to be twofold. It's going to be first, informational about these are the various energies associated with the days of the week and some other things that you might take into consideration. But the other part of it is that this is a doorway about how to actually practice of like, okay, today is Saturday, therefore I could focus on this because the energy is already conducive for focusing on this particular attention. In fact, when I got started, and I knew I wanted to do more than just learn about Wicca, I wanted to practice and I wanted to be Wiccan, I knew I had to find something to focus on, some way to incorporate it into my life, and then build out from there. When I was looking at the magical correspondences that were associated with each day of the week, specifically the kinds of energies and the magic most suitable for that day, it enabled me to evolve very gradually into having a daily spiritual practice that was meaningful for me, helped keep me on track, encouraged me to continue to educate myself, but most importantly to get into a magical flow. This was my anchor point. Now, the approach I took is not by any means the only approach, nor is it an approach that anyone is required to take. But I think it's worthwhile to hear about what has worked for people who've been at this for a number of years. So as you go through the process of experimenting with what works for you and what doesn't, you have something a little bit more solid to wrestle with rather than just, it's all up to you and whatever you think. No. You need ideas. You need ideas to try and to experiment with, and then you'll know what you think, and then you'll know what's going to be right for you in your life and what's going to be practical in your life. And of course, as you go through different stages and you have different obligations and responsibilities, different time constraints, you will be able to adapt and evolve much more gracefully. And at the very least, it's handy to have a general knowledge of the magical personality for each day of the week, just in general. So, let's start with Sunday, of course. Sunday is the sun's day. Now, in Wicca, the chief symbol of the god is the sun, and personally I will set aside Sundays to give extra attention to the god and any masculine deities that I'm working with at that time. Now, magically, you might think of words like leadership and authority, health, ambition and power, protection, including exorcisms, prosperity and professional success, strength, visions and enlightenment, confidence and justice. All this very proactive, I'm going to get out there, get it done, and make my mark on the world. That's the kind of energy you're dealing with. This is obviously a day that's ruled by the sun, and it's associated with all solar deities. So you can choose to honor the appropriate member of the pantheon that you work with if you so wish. It's associated with the sign of Leo, which is the monarch of the zodiac. And it's all about sunshine and warm colors and obviously gold metals, and it is of course associated with the fire element. There are certain stones, and with the stones and the other correspondences I'm bringing to your attention, these are just a few. As you do your own research, you will discover that there are more out there. But for me, I really like carnelian, citrine, diamond, clear quartz, and sunstones. For plants, with the trees, there's ash, birch, and laurel. For herbs, cinnamon, St. John's wort, and flowers, buttercups, marigolds, and sunflowers. Sundays are also associated with magical beings, namely elves. So if you are interested in any of that kind of lore, Sundays might be a good day for you to just do a little bit of research. Now for me, Sundays are usually my cleaning and cleansing days. So I'm not just going to physically clean the household, I'm also going to be cleansing its energy. It's a special day of devotion to the God. I like to meditate and also prepare for the week ahead and just make sure I've got all my ducks in a row so that the week can hopefully get off to a smooth start. Doesn't always work out, but it's better to have a goal to strive for than to just be all willy-nilly. Next, Monday, the moon's day. The moon is the primary symbol of the goddess, and I like to use Mondays to connect with the goddess and any feminine deities that I'm working with. For magic, think dream work, love, healing of all kinds, intuition, fertility, the home, magic generally, but particularly more receptive forms of magic, prophecy, family, emotion, truth, all this sort of thing. Mondays are ruled by the moon, and they're associated with all the lunar deities. So if you are wanting to work with someone from your pantheon who's tied to the moon, Monday is definitely a good day for you to consider reaching out to them. It's associated with the sign of Cancer, and colors like gray, silver tones, whites, pale blues, as well as silver metal, and the water element. For stones, you might think of moonstone, clear quartz, smoky quartz. For plants, the elder tree, birch, myrtle, willows, particularly weeping willows, they're my favorite. For herbs, chamomile for sure. But flowers, I think bluebell, gardenia, jasmine, white roses, and violets. For me, Mondays are more contemplative, and I'll definitely attempt deeper pathworking meditations and dream work. And I like to focus on cultivating my own feminine energy and communing with the goddess, and also with my matron goddess Rhiannon, if they see fit to favor me with their company. Sometimes I'm directing all that energy at them, and sometimes they respond. It just depends. I think it's good, though, to have that spiritual routine. Now, Tuesday, Tears Day. Tuesdays are good days for getting things done, and they are named for the Norse god Tyr. For magic, think courage, binding and protection, challenges, achievement, power and honor, initiation, passion and aggression, confidence and action, battle and war. It's feisty. And it's no surprise because this is a day that's ruled by the planet Mars, and deities associated with war, justice, and lawmaking are really suitable to highlight. It's associated with the signs Aries and Scorpio, as well as the colors black, orange and red, and iron metal, as well as the fire and water elements. For stones, you might try bloodstone, emerald, garnet, rubies, obsidian. With plants, for the trees, you're thinking cedar, elm, holly, palm, specifically the resin from palms that make dragon's blood incense. And for herbs, think allspice, basil, garlic, ginger, and flowers, snapdragons. And they are all. And this is also a day that is associated with the magical beings of elves. I would imagine this would be cranky elves, because again, Tuesdays do have a very fiery energy. And on Tuesdays, that's when I tend to write a lot of my video outlines. On Tuesdays, my thought process is usually very clear, very sharp, and so it's a really conducive time to construct arguments that defend or explain my philosophical and spiritual principles. Now, when it comes to the god Tyr, I can't claim that I particularly work with him or that I've ever truly connected with his energy, but I do like to offer him prayers on this day and acknowledge his general role in mythology. Now we have Wednesday, Woden's Day, Wotan's Day, or Odin's Day. Wednesdays are an excellent day for divination, and obviously it's named in the honor of the god Odin, and depending on what area you're dealing with in Europe, he'll be called Odin or Woden or Wotan. It's all the same god. Now, magically, issues dealing with communication, health and safety, business matters, divination and luck, wisdom, travel, and crossroads, skills and intelligence. These are the days to hone in on that. It's ruled by the planet Mercury, and any deities who are associated or concerned with communication, wisdom, traveling, this would be a day to reach out to them or to give them an offering, or just, let them know that you remember them and you're showing them some respect. It's associated with the sign of Gemini and the colors orange, purple, silver, violet, and yellow, as well as mercury metal. By the way, you shouldn't have to be told, but in case anyone is not aware, mercury metal is highly toxic and causes insanity, so not to be touching with your bare hands. This is also a day that's associated with the air element. Now for stones, citrine and amethyst are best. For plants with your trees, think aspen, hazel, and rowan. Rowan is also associated with the Fae, so if you're wanting to communicate with the Fae on this day, if you can get perhaps a branch or a blossom from the rowan tree, that would be ideal. Herbs are dill and lavender. For flowers, jasmine and lily of the valley. And for foliage, ferns. We sometimes forget about ferns and hostas and other less showy plant life in the magical realm, but they have their purposes. Now, Wednesdays, these are my favorite days to try and pierce through the veil, get a sense of what's going on in a larger context, and what energies are affecting my life and the lives of people I care about. It's an ideal day for communication of any kind, and that's actually one of the reasons why the midweek chats at Blackbird's Brew are scheduled for Wednesday evenings. There's no sense of not making use and working with the natural flow of energies rather than going against them. And of course, when you're talking about voice chats and, we get new members and people are still getting to know each other and getting comfortable with each other, why not make it a little bit easy? So we do that on Wednesdays. Now, so far, I have never been approached by the god Woden or really felt his presence around. But I will offer him respectful prayer on Wednesdays. But given my association with Loki and the fact that Woden and Loki's relationship is quite complicated, I tend to tiptoe around Woden, just in case. Then Thursdays, which is Thor's Day. These are days that are suited for dealing with the practicalities of life, day-to-day stuff on both the magical and the mundane levels. And of course, this is named in honor of Thor. Magically, think about wealth and ambitions, fertility, expansion, luck, happiness, family and honor, harvest, loyalty, and abundance. This is a day ruled by the planet Jupiter, and deities who tend to be more hand-on in their approach. This is a good day to work with them, particularly if they're concerned with hearth and home, or they're family-oriented, or anyone who's really concerned with morality and ethics. This would be a good day to try to reach out to them. This is associated with the signs of Capricorn and Pisces, and the colors blue, green, indigo, purple, as well as tin metal and the earth and water elements. For stones, to tap into this energy, you could use amethyst, carnelian, sapphire, and turquoise. Trees, laurel, maple, oak, and pine. Herbs, you could try cinnamon, nutmeg, and sage. Flowers, honeysuckle, and crop, interestingly, are wheat. If you are dealing with any kind of agricultural deity, Thursdays might be a good day for you to do a little bit of devotional work for them. Now, Thursdays are the days when I start to get kind of nesty, and my inner kitchen witch comes out to play. Now, obviously, cooking magic can be done every day or any day, but I make it a point to do something magical with food on Thursdays, just because of the day that it is. This is also the day when I'll do a light midweek clean of the house, just to get everything tidy and fresh in preparation for the weekend. We'll pray to Thor on this day, but just like Woden, Thor's relationship with Loki is, again, complicated, so I don't try to force my presence on Thor. Whatever issues the gods have amongst themselves, I don't need to get caught up in that. Honestly, none of us do. But moving along, Friday. Is it Frey's Day or is it Frigga's Day? What we do know is that Fridays are the best day of all for dealing with matters relating to romantic love. And this is a matter of debate whether it was named in honor of the goddess Freya or the goddess Frigga. But on the magical level, love of all sorts, but particularly romance, is good to focus on this day, as is friendship, fertility, and birth. So if you're wanting to start a family, this would be the day to do the spells and the workings for that. Deals with beauty, also relationships and marriage, sex, passion, pleasure. But it's also a day where we can focus in on wisdom, and I think it is what we would in modern terms call emotional IQ, but the wisdom of interpersonal relationships and wisdom in dealing with matters of the heart. It also deals with reconciliation and nature generally, and our connection to it. Fridays are ruled by the planet Venus, and is as well as all gods and goddesses who are associated with or concerned with love. Associated with the sign is with this day is a sign of Taurus, and the colors aqua, blue, green, indigo, and pink, as well as copper metal and the earth element. If you're wanting to incorporate stones for any purpose magically, alexandrite, emerald, rose quartz, ruby. With plants for trees, you might try apple, birch, or myrtle. Herbs, saffron, and thyme. Thyme will be less expensive than saffron. For flowers, rose and violet, incense, sandalwood, and fruits, raspberry and strawberry. This is handy information because if you're making a little bit of a dessert on Friday, if you incorporate raspberries or strawberries or both, you might be inviting a little extra romantic energy into people. And it has been said that the way to the heart is through the stomach, so food for thought, just something to consider to try. But Fridays are fun days, just all around. It's the end of the week. You can refocus your attention on, the love of your life. And there's a number of things that can be done on the magical level to create a romantic atmosphere. Generally on Fridays, I will say prayers to Freya. I don't really feel that strong of a connection with Frigga. But I do feel some affinity for Freya, despite the fact that she and Loki do not have the warmest of relationships. But whenever I've encountered her in meditations or felt her presence in some way, she's always been very nice and very welcoming to me. So apparently, whatever issues they have, it doesn't really affect how she sees me. So that's that. Now for Saturday. Buckle up, kids. Saturday, is it Saturn's Day or Satyr's Day? And is Satyr another name for Loki? Now, it's the way it was spelled. I saw Saetere. Sometimes they leave off the other E. Whenever you get into these old names, you will find a wide variety of spellings. But Saturdays are most definitely the day of the witch, the wizard, magically inclined people of all sorts. The Roman god Saturn is one of the gods who lent its name to Saturday, obviously. But it is a little odd that most of the weekdays are named after Norse deities, and then out of nowhere we've got a Roman god thrown into the mix. Now, Satyr is an Anglo-Saxon god, and the Anglo-Saxons were more closely related to the Norse and Germanic pantheons than, say, the Greco-Roman pantheons. And he's considered to be the equivalent of Saturn and Kronos, not necessarily the same deity, but fulfilling a similar function and role. And he's also considered to be the equivalent of Loki. This is all very controversial, of course. But is anything having to do with Loki not controversial? Now, at the moment, I'm not going to get into all of the arguments for and against associating Loki with Saturdays. The bottom line for me is that Saturday's associations are ideal for nearly all forms of magic. And Loki's magical credentials are the one thing about him that is beyond dispute. And as he hails from the Norse pantheon, and I already work with the Norse gods to a certain extent, it makes me very comfortable to consider Saturdays to be Loki's day. Now, I realize this is not a universal viewpoint, and I realize it could be all very upsetting to people who have different opinions. However, regardless of whatever conclusions we reach on this subject, the sun will continue to rise in the east and set in the west. Life will go on, and we'll all just have to cope with having a measure of theological disparity. So if anyone watching this video feels particularly bothered by this entire discussion, make yourself a nice cup of tea. Tea is the answer to all manner of discomfort. And I hope you won't let this, perhaps this one little detail become too much of a sticking point. But moving on, magically, well, we can do almost anything. This is a real good working day for witches, wizards, practical magicians, everything having to do with life, death, the afterlife, from civilization to the wild, matters of flesh and spirit. This is the best day of all for protection magic of all kinds, for dealing with matters of justice and responsibility, sparking motivation, overcoming obstacles, solving problems, but it's also a suitable day for introspection, meditation, communing with deities, as well as contemplating philosophical, ethical, and moral issues. It's just, this is the whole package, magically speaking, within this day. Saturdays are ruled by the planet Saturn, and depending on what you're doing magically, that will kind of also determine which deity you might call upon. Because I've been working with Loki all this month, I've really set Saturdays aside for additional meditation and ritual, dealing with the issues that he's assisting me with. Now, associated with Saturday is the sign of Aquarius, and the colors black, dark blue, dark gray, indigo, dark purple, as well as lead and pewter metals. And it is associated with earth, air, fire, water, and spirit elements. Literally the whole package. For stones associated with Saturday, amethyst, Apache tears, diamonds, hematite, jet, labradorite, turquoise, and black tourmaline. Plants in the trees, we have alder, cypress, hawthorn, and pomegranate. Herbs, St. John's wort and thyme. Flowers, amaranth, hyacinth, morning glory, and rose. And for incense, dragon's blood, frankincense, and myrrh. Saturdays are also associated with fairies. From what I've read so far, not any particular kind of fairies, just the fae in general. So this is something to keep in mind if you are inclined to working with fairies in any capacity. Saturdays are just teeming with magical energy. If I have a larger working that I need to do, I will save it for a Saturday. There's just a wildness to the atmosphere of this day. And it's when I have the easiest time of going with the flow and being adaptable, and that's one of the things I'm working on right now. So it's an awesome day. So there is no rule that says that if you decide to practice Wicca that you need to arrange your magical schedule around the correspondences of each day of the week. But knowing what vibe is prevailing on a given day, it can help you plan when the ideal time to perform certain spells and rituals would be, or when meditation and divination might yield the most fruitful results. It's worth keeping in mind. At the very least, I hope anyone watching this can appreciate that there's more to the days of the week than just who the days happen to be named after. That's it for this week. Next week's class will focus on the elements. Now, homework for this week, from October 23rd to November 5th. I've got 3 things. First, in one word, describe a magical intention or energy associated with Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then for second, choose an activity best suited for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And lastly, for the next week, do something, anything. It could be magical, mundane, or both. But just do something each day that corresponds with the energy associated with that particular day. Then journal about the results and whether or not you felt more in the flow of things. It's just a trial run. This isn't something that you need to do forever. It's just something to give a go. If you'd like to discuss any of your answers to the homework, or discuss this class, or different ways you could start integrating magical practice into your daily life, please join us at Blackbird's Brew on our Discord server. There will be a link to join in the description box below. Anything having to do with the assignment for today, answers, questions, discussion, we have a channel called Study Hall that you are very welcome to post in there. But otherwise, just come into our chit-chat room and introduce yourself, and well, talk about whatever you like. We're very open there. Also, if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. But for now, I will see you later.